Coach Steve Sarkisian says the Longhorns are going to be ready for the Aggies.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes you like, unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. We get to have a fun conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. And I assume based on the way this episode is going to be titled, we're going to have some of our friends who are Texas fans in the comments, which is great. And what I want to talk about, I'm not going to say anything negative about the Longhorns, nothing like that. I want to talk about this quote from Coach Sarkisian. It's a great quote, and it's really exciting. You know, we've talked a little bit about the Lone Star Showdown making its return to college football, but not a ton. So I want to read this quote from Coach Sarkisian because I think it should get everybody, Texas fans, Texas A&M fans, should get everybody excited for this rivalry being back in the game that we all do love. So he says, the question is about, with all the changes happening in college football, like NIL, transfer portal, conference realignment, you name it, we've got a lot going on right now. But with all that change, what's coming is renewing the rivalry with Texas A&M and how to get our players that we recruit back into the vigor of that rivalry. I think y'all have enjoyed for decades and decades. It's not hard at all. We'll be ready. So, you know, what Coach Sarkisian is saying is, hey, it's not going to be hard for recruits to get back into this rivalry. You know, we see that in huge college football rivalries, the game, the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl. You know, you don't like each other. You do not like one another. And that's part of what makes rivalries and what makes college football the amazing thing it is. And this is a great quote from Coach Sarkisian, basically saying, hey, listen, you know, this is great for college football. Having this game back, it's great for the state of Texas. It's great for fans of both programs. It is great for the sport of college football. And, hey, my team's going to be ready. You know, Coach Elko's not backing down. He's ready to rock and roll. So I just think that the main takeaway from this quote, when I read an article about this quote today, it just got me more excited for this game. Not in a negative way, but in more of a, like, hey, this is exciting. We're back, baby. The Lone Star Showdown, the Aggies versus the Longhorns. I mean, this is what makes the game of college football. If you're listening to this podcast, you love college football. And this is what makes it so great. So I'm excited. I really am. When it comes to the game, you know, it's funny. I actually, I was with a Texas fan this weekend, and we were talking about the game. Of course, he knows that I host Locked On Aggies. He's a huge Texas fan, and we were sitting and having a conversation, and we were talking about the upcoming matchup between these two football teams. And, you know, he made some good points. I made some good points. I said, listen, on paper, who's the better football team? It's Texas. No debate there. I think we can all agree on that. I do think it's going to be really tough for the Longhorns to come to Kyle Field and beat the Aggies. Listen, I can sit here and I can throw numbers at you. I can throw statistics at you. I can throw recruiting numbers and stars and all that stuff for when it comes to the matchup in this football game. I can do it, and we will do it eventually. We get closer to the season. One thing that I'm a big believer in college athletics, in sports in general, sometimes games just feel like destiny. And I get it. Once again, you know, hey, it's like I'm sitting here saying, you know, I believe in ghosts or I believe in aliens or I don't, whatever. You know what I mean? And everybody's got difference in opinions there. My take on this is pretty simple. Yes, it's not real. It's kind of like, you know, people saying momentum's a real thing. Momentum's a real thing. It is. It is a very real thing in sports. And I think destiny is a real thing too. And what I mean by that, And it doesn't sound like this hard-hitting breakdown of this uber exciting football game, but my opinion here is this. It was kind of like heading in that when Tennessee hosted Alabama a few, 2 years ago with Hendon Hooker. That game, I could have told you heading in that game, yeah, Tennessee's going to win this game. It's destiny. There's some times you see it in the Iron Bowl some. You see it in the game here and there. I mean, I just think that there are times where you can just look at a football game and you go, yeah, this team's going to win this football game. I just have that feeling about this game. And listen, Texas fans that are tuned in, come back, give me heck, make fun of me if the Longhorns win this ball game. That's fair. Another thing that makes college football great. But I just don't think, I don't think, so this is what Texas fans need to be honest with themselves about. And you can't look at this game and say, hey, heading into this season, I feel so confident we're going to head to Kyle Field and beat the Aggies on their home field. I just don't. I don't think any Texas fan can sit and tell themselves that. I don't think you can feel confident about that at all. So just because of it, you have to go. This will be one of the most anticipated football games in a very long time. People, you got to remember. I'm young. I might not look at it, or maybe the baby face tells it. Regardless, I'm a young guy. I'm 23 years old. This rivalry went away when I was a kid. I don't even fully know what it's all about because I'm young. People my age don't know. They didn't grow up. They grew up in it, but you know what I mean? Like, I loved football when I was 8, 9, but you really love it when you fully comprehend and understand it. And so the point is, I think this rivalry is going to be the return of this rivalry is going to be great for college football in general. I think it's going to be great for people my age in the state of Texas who know about it. Their parents talk about it. Their grandparents talk about it, but they never really lived it when they were a huge diehard football fan. And I think that's going to be the reality for a lot of people. So this is great for the sport of college football. And I'm super excited, to get with our to get with our Locked On Texas host when we get there and break all this down and really start to, when we get close to this football game. Now, listen, we're not close to this football game, but it's going to be so fun to break it down. It's going to be fun to look at numbers, look at stats, what's going on, with these two teams heading into that football game. It's going to be great. It's great for the sport. It's exciting. So I loved hearing this quote from Coach Sark because it really, to me, this is bigger than stats, bigger than anything. This is about football and what makes it great. So I'm excited about this football game. I know everybody tuned in, Texas fan, Texas A&M fan, feels the same way. I really can't wait to see it play out. So I'll be honest with you. I do think that this game is going to be really close. And I think the Aggies have a great shot to win it, just simply due to the fact that it's at home. It's the revival of this rivalry. People are going to be pumped up. The whole eyes of every college football fan are going to be on this game. That's just my opinion here. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Texas is the better football team. But I think the Aggies, I really do think they might win this ball game at home. So that's my take on it. I cannot wait to break down this game more and more as we get closer to the start of the season. Then we get deeper into the season. It's going to be a fun one. I know everybody's excited about it. Texas fans that I assume are here. Hope I didn't ruin anybody's Wednesday. I think I was pretty fair. But it's going to be a fun game, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait. Here's a name we haven't talked about in a little while. Terry Bussey. We've seen spring. We've seen the transfers. What's his role going to be? We'll talk about it coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride or die every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. So, Terry Bussey, remember that kid? Yeah, he's pretty good at football. We're going to talk about Terry and what his role is going to look like. Of course, he was not here for the spring. And one quote from Coach Elko that stood out to me was, hey, remember, manage expectations. Manage expectations for Terry Bussey. He is one of the most talented football players I've ever seen. Brian Smith, our Locked On recruiting expert, I don't think he's ever liked a recruit better than Terry Bussey. And I'm kidding, obviously. My goodness, you watch film on this kid, and it's so hard to not get excited. You can't not get excited. Seriously, if you're ever having a bad day, my roommate, my buddy Cameron, he's in medical school. I think for Texas A&M fans, I could be a doctor because if you're sick, I'll just prescribe you 1 hour of Terry Bussey film. That's what I'll do for you, and you'll feel better. So my point here to get into this Terry Bussey conversation is, what is his role going to look like? And it's really going to be interesting. And y'all know I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I am the CEO of, hey, freshmen in college football need to sit and wait a little bit, wait their turn, develop, get stronger, get faster, in all those different things when it comes to getting on the field. And then as sophomores, then it's your time to shine. I don't know if Terry Bussey has the same ideas. I just think this kid's too good. I think this kid is too good at football to not have him on the field. It's pretty simple. I don't think it's a hard concept to understand this kid is going to be fighting for a role. Kick return game, whether it's – I saw somebody comment when we talked about, Jabri Barber's injury and how he's could be done for the year, definitely out for a while. Maybe do we see more of Terry Bussey playing receiver? Coach Elko said that they're going to try and use them as much as they can use them. So do they have some plays drawn up there? Then at DB, at corner, I think that's where he's gonna shine. And listen, we've seen what we need to see from these transfers. We know what we got now. And I feel pretty good about the secondary. And that's without Terry Bussey on the even on the team yet. So the question then becomes, can he get here, whenever it is soon? Can he get here soon and take over some of these guys that have played a lot of college football immediately? It is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is not going to be an easy task for Terry Bussey. But once again, you have to remember how talented this kid is. If anybody can do it, it's Terry Bussey. So, I'll tell you, I think he plays a lot of football as a true freshman. I do. I think he's going to play a lot of football for Texas A&M as a true freshman. I think he's going to have a huge role. And listen, they're not going to use him. I always forget the kid's name for Colorado, and then it'll come to me here in a minute. I always forget the kid's name from Colorado. Every time I talk about him, but the kid that plays both ways. I don't think Terry Bussey is going to be like him, where it's every down on every side of the football. It's not going to be quite like that. It's really bothering me that I can't remember his name. And I'll have to look it up immediately when I get done recording this because it's just making me so mad. But he won't be used every down on every side, on each side of the football. I think that he will be a corner who sometimes plays a little bit of receiver. And do you use him as a decoy? He is so shifty. He is so athletic. He is so incredibly gifted with the football in his hands. If you can get the football in his hands, you are in a really good spot. I really think it's simple as that. Can you get the football to him on offense? Once again, I could say this, he might not even play a snap on offense. It could happen. Coach Elko talked about him playing offense a little bit, so I anticipate it happening. But what I'm getting at here is I think that you get the football in his hands, he's going to make people miss. He's going to score touchdowns. So whether that's screens, whether that's end rounds, whether that's a go route, whatever it is, however you think you can get him the football, give it to him out of the backfield. I don't care. Get him the football in space. He will score touchdowns. So what his role ends up being, I think on defense is much more interesting than offense, because I don't think his role on defense will affect his role on offense. I think that they're going to find a way to get him in the game. If he doesn't play any reps at corner as a freshman, I still think you're going to see him used a little bit as a gadget guy on the offense just because of how shifty he is. I mean, he's probably the best athlete on the team. I mean, you could have right now, you could have a real argument about that this minute. So I think they could use him like that. I think he could be a guy that plays, 6 offensive snaps, but plays pretty much every snap on defense. There's a lot you can do with him. And once again, it's kind of like what I said the other day about Nick Scorton. Hey, he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it in the SEC. I can sit here and talk about how good Nick Scorton is all day long, but at the end of the day, he has got to prove it in this conference. Terry Bussey's got to get to college. He's got to prove it. We can sit here and I can tell you how great he is, and it's not hard for me to do that because he is great, but he does eventually have to prove that he is what we were saying he is. So that's my thoughts on Terry Bussey. I want to hear what y'all have to say about that in the YouTube comments. Do you think that Terry Bussey is going to have a huge role as true freshman? Do you think he's going to, be kind of a sophomore when he kind of breaks onto the scene? Let me know y'all's thoughts on that. And now I want to talk a little bit about, should we be more concerned about the linebacker room? I've seen a lot of articles and things on X and even some comments here on the show about people a little bit concerned about the linebacker room. And I'll tell you, I'm not concerned about the linebacker room, because if you want to be concerned about depth, that's fair. I can live with that. I can get behind you on that. But if you want to talk about flat out the top end guys, Terry York, we feel great about. The issue has never been Terry York. The issues have been depth, and the issues have been who's going to be the guy next to Terry York. Those have been the concerns. So, once again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Terry York. There's no reason. It's about the other guys in this room. So, you went and got the transfer from Pitt, Solomon DeShields. Of course, you still got Damian Sanford on the team, and then the earlier transfer, Scooby Williams. I think that Scooby Williams is going to be the guy for this football team. I really feel that way. I think he's proven a lot during the spring practice. He made some plays all spring, in the game. He's a player who was incredibly talented coming out of high school. And once again, we've heard this story before. He gets to North Carolina. I said that because I always compare this to Tony Grimes. He gets to Florida, and he's fine. He's good. He's if 10 is perfect, he's probably like a 5 or a 6. He's a 2 or a 3 is bad. He's like a 5 or a 6. He was okay. He was good. And I think that, he follows Bateman, Texas A&M, and I think that he's feeling really good. He looks good. He's moving well. He looks strong. He looks powerful. I mean, not a guy that you want to have tackle you. So, no, and then once again, Sanford made some great plays in the spring game. Now, yes, depth for sure. I can get behind you on depth. I can, Alex Howard leaving hurt because we felt pretty good about him. He actually ironically committed to Duke, which is funny because that's where Coach Elko obviously came from. But, depth is a fair concern. I can live with people saying, hey, I like the top 3-4 guys, but then at the depth, I'm really worried if we see a guy or two get banged up, we're in trouble. That's fair. I can live with that take. But you got a lot of the young freshmen that are really good. I don't think you necessarily want to see them on the field unless you have to. But I also think that if they get pushed onto the field, they're going to be okay too. So I am not concerned about the linebacker room. Now, depth is a concern. So I've said on the show a few times, and then obviously since you've landed the Pitt transfer to Shields, but go get another guy after losing Alex Howard. You did. I wouldn't be upset if they brought in another linebacker. I mean, why not? Just for depth reasons. But no, I feel about when it comes to who's going to play, who's going to start, who's going to take these reps, I feel really good about Scooby Williams standing next to Terry York this year. And I think that's going to be a really nasty 1-2 punch linebacker combo in the SEC. So I'm excited. And, Scooby Williams is not going to be Edgerton Cooper, but he's going to have a good year. Maybe he could be. I mean, that would take a lot. But once again, the point here is Scooby Williams, is a very good linebacker who I think the change of scenery is going to serve very well. So I'm excited to see what the future looks like for him, this linebacker room. And no, I am not as concerned as others are about this room. The Aggies stay perfect in midweek games on the baseball field. We're going to have the conversation about why that's so important. We're going to talk about the win over Rice. We'll do all that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to compare to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot machines. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Also want to tell you about our friends over at Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or are looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. Once Yahoo Finance started, became friends with the show, I started having them help me. I've learned a lot. I've grown. I'm trying to do better financially when it comes to, what do I do with money? Where do I put money? And Yahoo Finance has been a great help. It's going to set me up for the future, and I highly recommend using it if you don't already. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. So before we call it a day here at Locked On Aggies, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this baseball team and how impressive. Once again, I know that they lost a series this weekend at LSU at the box. I get it. And that happens. You're going to lose series. It's going to happen. But they have done such a good job. The Aggies they're 41-8, right? And then they're whatever an 8 in SEC play. They haven't lost. They're perfect in non-conference. Now you're done after the 16-3 win over Rice. So I'll talk a little bit about this game, and then we'll get into what being unbeaten in midweeks means. So Gavin Grahovac goes 3 for 4, 2 runs, an RBI, and a homer. Caden Sorrell goes 2 for 2 with 3 runs scored and an RBI. Montgomery goes 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and a homer. Laviolette goes 1 for 3 with a run scored, a homer, and 3 RBIs. The staff was once again pretty darn good in this game. 7 hits, 3 runs, 5 Ks, 3 free bases. But once again, 3 runs, your offense is humming. You get the job done. That is all a coach can ask for. So, good win. 7 innings, saved some pitching for this weekend. Great. The exciting part about this to me is that losing midweek games hurts your what's the word? The RPI. So it is very important to not lose midweek games because those drop you far. Normally the teams you're playing in midweek games aren't very good. And if you lose those games, they drop you. Texas A&M has not lost a single midweek game, a single non-conference game for that matter, And the importance of that, once again, is it's going to help with seeding. Your goal is to be a top 8 seed so that if you win your regional, you host a super regional, you don't have to leave Texas A&M. You don't have to leave College Station until you make the move to Omaha. You don't have to. That's always the goal. Losing midweek games makes it harder to do that. Yes, losing the series against LSU wasn't great, but once again, they're playing better baseball. It happens. You did a great job salvaging Game 3. This baseball team has put themselves in a really good spot. I think if they go 3-3, they go 3-3 to finish the season, and that's worst case. I'd love go 2-2, win the series at Ole Miss, win the series against Arkansas. So I'd love to go 4-2, but I think 3-3 or better, you guarantee you're hosting for sure. I think you could go 2-4 and you're probably still hosting. The key is going to be being a top 8 seed so that you host a regional, then also host a super regional. So I think if you go 3-3, potentially you could go 2-4 and still be a top 8 seed, but the goal would be to go 4-2 or 3-3. And I believe if you do that, you will host both a super and then of course a regional. And that keeps you at home all the way until Omaha, which is what you want to do. And then I'll say it one more time, as I do every time I talk about this team. Even after the LSU series, no, I'm not concerned. This team, I think, is the best team in baseball. Yes, Tennessee's really good. I think the Aggies are the best team in baseball. This team can win a national championship. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really do appreciate it. Hope everybody has an outstanding rest of the day today, and we will see you tomorrow.